Hi, my name is Christy Dudgeon. I'm with SBC Advising, and I am going to talk to you today about how to get started with government contracting. It can be overwhelming at first, the amount of information and steps you have to take, but we've created these videos in order for you to better understand and see that it doesn't have to be so overwhelming. The US government is the largest customer in the world. It buys all the types of products and services in both large and small quantities. So small businesses have a place with federal contracting. And it's required by law to consider buying from small businesses. The government wants to buy from small businesses for several reasons, including to ensure that large businesses don't muscle out small businesses, to gain access to the new ideas that small businesses provide, to support small businesses as engines of economic development and job creation, and to offer opportunities to disadvantaged socioeconomic groups. Federal agencies must publicly list their contract opportunities. Some of these contracts are set aside exclusively for small businesses. In some cases, these so-called set-aside contracts might consist of certain types of tasks on larger contracts. In others, entire contracts may be reserved for small businesses. When a contract is set aside for one specific small business, it's called a sole source contract. So, the first thing you need to do to get started in government contracting is assess your business. This is with market research. In order to bid on and win government contracts, you'll have to sell products and services that the government buys and at a competitive price. Use the resources to see if it's a market for your product or service and determine how big that market is. And then you can find your potential buyers. The Federal Procurement Data System is a very good area to visit for information for contracts that are over $25,000. With this system, you can see which agencies have contracts and who they're actually with, what agencies buy things, and which contractors have the contracts. So this is very helpful for your competitive market advantage. You can see who the players are already in that space. You can see what the government is buying from them. You can determine if that's the right market segment for you and if that's the direction you want to go. USspending.gov tracks all government spending through the contracts it awards. So it's a searchable database, contains information for each federal contract, and you can use this information to help identify those different purchasing trends. So between the Federal Procurement Data System and the USspending.gov, those are great places for information. Each government agency releases a procurement forecast that includes contracting opportunities for small businesses. You can review these agency reoccurring procurement forecasts to find out if there are agencies that are buying what you sell. The next thing that you have to ask or need to know as a small business is what makes a successful contractor in the eyes of the government. The government does prefer to work with established, reliable businesses. Do you have a track record of delivering quality goods and services on time and within budget? And is your reputation within the industry strong? This can be a little difficult for brand new businesses that are just starting out because obviously you don't have that reputation. But you can build it in the private sector if needed before jumping into government contracts, or choose smaller government contracts to get your name established and started with your reputation. Your reputation is something that you don't want to lose, especially with federal contracting. It can take a long time to win your first government contracts. Some of these are very big. Some of them have very extended terms, very long periods of time for the contracts. So a contract that you may find that you're interested in, it might not be available to you for 5 years. It might be 3 years, might be 2 years. Maybe it's a rolling contract. It's all information that you need to learn up front before you immerse yourself into a contract that you may not even have an opportunity for an extended period of time. Some businesses will spend between $80,000 and $130,000 to earn their first contract. There are many things that can be required in some of the larger contracts that you have, that you know, that you own. So there can be some upfront costs that will be required so that you can prove as a business that you are capable of handling this contract. So how do we get started with government contracting? There are basic requirements that you need to follow. Everyone follows the same process in order to be eligible to be a government contractor. First things first are getting your proper registrations and numbers. One of those numbers, in the very first place that you start, is your DUNS number. It's a unique 9-digit identification number for each physical location of your business. If multiple locations of your business are going to be doing business with the federal government, then you need a separate unique DUNS number for each one of those locations. We have created a separate video on how to follow this process. So look up in the videos, DUNS number. Then you need your NAICS codes. These codes are matching your products and services to the North American Industry Classification System code. They classify businesses based on the particular product or service that they supply. A business will generally have a primary NAICS code, but it can also have multiple NAICS codes if you sell multiple products or services. So just make sure, whatever contracts you're seeking from the federal government, that you have NAICS codes that match what those contracts or services might be. Otherwise, you might not get considered. You have to meet the size standards. So to be eligible for government contracts reserved for small businesses, your business must meet size requirements set aside by the SBA. These size standards define the maximum size that a business and its affiliates can be to qualify for a small business of a particular contract. The SBA assigns a size standard to each NAICS code, so those two are tied together. Most manufacturing companies with 500 employees or fewer, and most non-manufacturing businesses with an average annual receipt of $7.5 million will qualify as a small business. But definitely make sure that you're checking those size standards to make sure that you qualify. There are many exceptions by industry, so there is no certain rule. There's just that averages that I gave you. To determine if your business qualifies for small for government contracting purposes, you can use the SBA's size standards tool. Just search the SBA website for that information. Next thing you need to do is register with SAM. To participate in government contracting, you must register your business in the federal government's System for Award Management. If you went through the SVOG or RRF process, or you've sought grants from the government, then you probably have already been introduced or are aware of the SAM process. It's a database that the government agencies will search to find contractors. So you're looking for contracts, but they're looking for you as well. Using SAM, you'll be able to certify that your business is eligible for contracts that are reserved for small businesses. You'll also be able to represent if your business is eligible for contracts under an SBA contracting program because it is disadvantaged, women-owned, veteran-owned, or located in an underutilized area. We have created a separate video about the SAMS process because there are quite a few steps that are involved. Your business profile on SAM is like a resume. Creating a profile that's accurate and appealing is important to winning a government contract. This is your opportunity to shine. It is sales. Make sure that it is captivating, something that someone wants to pay attention to and notice. It needs to be accurate, the descriptive terms about your business so that they are able to find you in search results. Keywords are very important with your SAM registration. And then you have to maintain compliance. In order to participate in government contracting, you must comply with all laws and regulations. The federal government's purchasing process is governed by the Federal Acquisition Regulation. Thank you very much, and good luck with getting started in government contracting. If you have further questions on getting started with government contracting, you can reach out to your local small business development center.